Welcome to the downside. I am going to. You're not supposed to say you're going to kill yourself because somehow.
Why?
You like in general, in just online and things.
You can.
No, I know. I'm saying
I'm
like
giving you
people go like
permission.
you can't say it as if like that's what's going to push someone over the edge.
Yeah.
Someone is right on the fucking ledge, and it takes a comedian to say it to fucking do something. I cannot believe it.
Well, if this comedian's making light of it, then finally I'm gonna do it.
I am in a pissy fucking mood. I cannot believe it.
Were you in a pissy mood before, or just because of just now?
Just because of now. I don't need any more.
No, I didn't know. This is the first time interacting with you today. I didn't know maybe something else happened too.
I feel like this is the end of having a studio. I feel
You're ready
like
to throw it away.
So we had an episode 2 weeks ago, and the box, like, there's a new box because the box malfunctioned. It sounded fine on the fucking headphones, and then it like was washed, destroyed.
Oh, you just lost a whole.
Well, we did it
episode.
off the camera audio, but it sucked.
Yeah.
We tried our best.
Yeah.
So I think it's done.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's done. I can't do this.
It's good to be here for such a watershed moment in the podcast.
Yeah. It's been a rough few weeks. We had that. Then last week, something happened last week. Oh, yeah.
What happened last week?
We were the person didn't come.
Oh yeah, the person didn't come.
Luckily, we discovered.
I mean,
a little early.
Oh my God!
What?
What?
No.
No.
Don't.
No.
Let her go.
It's appearing. Now it's showing up. What the fuck, man? What the fuck?
Don't. You have to move on.
God damn
past
it!
her.
I can't. I hate everything.
Leave it. It's not going to happen today on that micro on that
I'm
board.
here with my co-host Russell Daniels,
Hi, Gianmarco.
and I'm here with my producer, not in the technical sense.
I wasn't told that was
She
my
wasn't brought on board to
responsibility.
do that.
I would be lying if I said the thought didn't occur to me that maybe the producer could
You'd
fix
think.
the production.
She does other things,
I do a lot of other things that don't require audio knowledge.
but we should get someone who knows about a thing or two about these boards.
Yeah, well, luckily the Patreon just
not
$12
not
a month. So we can hire
instead
someone.
of, but in addition to.
Well,
I see.
this is why this is the theme of the podcast, because I knew I couldn't do any. Knew I couldn't do it a show where it was happy or positive.
Yeah.
This is the downside. This is the
Yeah.
place where we can be negative.
Yeah.
We don't have to pretend things are going well. We can be honest that it's
We don't
shit,
have to say, what would
and
I
that-
complain about? Remember
Yes,
that?
yes.
Oh.
We had a guest cancel once 2 days before. Remember? She says I don't think I don't have anything to complain about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a branding thing. It was like
No,
one
that was someone else.
Was she-
Someone literally
Was
canceled.
she Christian?
No,
Whoa.
but I think she was like a good mom, and like she talked about raising. I think she talked about raising a child who had Down syndrome. That was part of her
Is that
thing.
why we
But, like,
booked her?
But I mean, like, if you're a mom, period, like, you have plenty of things to complain about.
Yeah.
If you're a human being at all.
Yeah,
there's
but
something to
it's
Also,
complain
I have
about.
a sister with special needs. Like, it's not great.
Yeah.
There's
You complain about special needs people
all the time. Wait, but I had a question.
Yes.
Why were we having her on? Was she famous for this?
Yeah. Like it was
But
like
so
I
it
say
was
to see
a-
a mom on the street, like, hey, that looks tough. Do you want to come on the pod?
I'm saying it was a branding thing. That's what's gross about it, is that she's not being honest. She's not saying like there's really nothing.
Yeah, I
She's
don't think she
saying
was gross.
her brand is being full of bullshit. Everything's great person.
No, I think it was trying to
fuck
look
that
on the
mom.
bright.
Fuck that mom and
Fuck
her
the
kid.
mom of that Down syndrome child.
I mean, and then I was on the way here, and then Russell sent me the most horrifying video I'd ever seen in my life.
Oh my God,
You
yeah.
recorded a video of you. You had to
No,
auditioning.
so I was doing a self tape, and I was supposed to have like a smoker's cough, and I was like coughing, and I couldn't stop, and then I have bad gag reflex, so I then was almost throwing up, and then it was just like a minute and a half video of me trying not to throw up, but also trying to restart the scene and coughing, and I couldn't do it. I was gonna throw up, so I thought it was really funny. I got it on tape.
This is the downside. What the fuck? No, did the fucking thing reset? Are you fucking serious? Are you fucking serious?
That's supposed to play
my
an intro.
God. Yeah.
Are
an
you
intro
fucking
song.
serious?
Oh my God! I thought you were doing a
Just
bit.
a record scratch. A
God
perfect
damn it.
metaphor for how this is
Damn
going.
it, motherfucker.
You slip on a banana peel.
This is the downside.
Okay, yes, this is my self tape. Okay, turn it off.
This is what you said.
It's better to see it, not hear it.
Did it stop?
It's
the
making
music.
me feel a little sick to be honest.
Can we put the video onto the
No,
YouTube?
no.
I don't have the theme music there because the fucking box reset.
Oh, okay.
And I feel like I have an echo on this.
Yeah, I do
Why does
too.
it say transfer mode? Get the fuck out of here.
Don't get
No,
started.
no. Okay. All right, we don't have theme music today. Sorry, Douglas.
So, Lucas, I was looking up the last thing we had an email correspondence about a year ago.
Yeah.
We had, it was something I did want to talk about in this podcast because I really don't know how to feel about it. We had you asked me, or I had some footage for you. You went up before me at Stand Up New York, and the host had the brilliant idea of bringing an audience member onto the stage to twerk.
It was supposed to be a raffle.
Yeah.
And then, you know what it was? They were like, during the raffle, we're going to do a dance contest. Mm-hmm. And then, first of all, no one should say yes to that. No one should say yes to coming up at a comedy club and dancing on the stage. And no one did, except for this one person. And it was exactly who you didn't want to come up and dance. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, she ended up twerking on there.
So she twerked, but it wasn't just that. She then didn't want to leave the stage.
Correct.
Once you let an audience member onto the stage.
No, they get a taste of it.
Yeah. She's now in the cast of Titanic. Yeah. I meant to tell you. So I had a crowd work thing. I told you about this where I really didn't know how to feel about it. I was in Plano, Texas. It's my first show there, and I had some joke. It was something like I'm just looking at the computer. I'm freaking out every second. But so I had a joke. I said, "Do you think R. Kelly is ever in prison?" And he hears Michael Jackson come on the radio and goes, "If only I could have danced a little better." and then it was some joke about like how talented Michael Jackson and R. Kelly are, and just to I basically talked about how untalented white pedophiles are. Yeah, like and the number, and I brought up Woody Allen. At some point, I said, Woody Allen can't moonwalk. Yeah. And someone in the audience was like, no. Like, they disagreed with that statement. And so I said, okay, we got the clip. Here we go.
She was saying no, like that's wrong.
Yeah.
She wasn't being like...
She wasn't like...
No, she was not offended. She was not offended.
Okay.
So I said, what? And she said, I worked at a prison. I used to be a prison guard, and pedophiles love to dance. And I go, it's, so we're like, we're in tough territory. This is advanced lesson. Can I keep it funny?
Yeah.
And she said that they kept the pedophiles in a different wing of the prison because otherwise they would get beat
dance.
up. They get beat up.
Okay.
No, but she said, so they would dance. And I think I'm struggling to come up with funny stuff, but I think the first joke I made was, what do you play, Kids Bop? And so that worked.
Okay.
We're moving.
Yeah.
And
I would move right away from that, by the way. If you get one thing in there, I don't know.
No, I wouldn't be able to help myself. I would stay there for 25 minutes.
I'm working on more longer form crowd work clips, so I'm like, I keep going in my head. Remember I told you that story where I did a radio show with Earthquake? Comedian Earthquake?
Yeah, of course.
And there was riffing, and at some point I told that first joke, and then he was like, keep going. So in my head, I'm like, Earthquake told me, keep going. And she says, no, we would play Baby Shark. And I was like, okay. I don't know. Then I was losing it. I was like, no, that's what they want. I didn't know. It wasn't going well. And then she said, no, we'd play it 24/7. So we played it even when they were asleep.
Oh.
And
to torture them.
So I go, uh-oh.
She's admitting to torturing.
And someone in the audience said, that's torture. And I said, yeah, that's what I was thinking. And I'm like, that's you're doing it to punish them. She's like, yeah, I wanted to punish them. And I'm like, whoa, no. What do I do now?
Yeah.
What's crazy too is
she also no longer works there. Like, so I don't know. Should I call you tell what you were gonna say?
Well, no, I was just gonna say, like, what's crazy is, like, you have to imagine that if she's doing this in front of a whole crowd of people, so many people in her life know that she's a torturer. You know what I mean? Like she's
Yeah.
told a lot of people probably every party she goes to, she'll throw that out
Yeah.
there.
My
She probably had a little drink and she just throws out, "Oh, and I tortured people."
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
like, that's crazy.
And given how people feel about this very thorny subject, some people
Yeah.
are probably like, good.
Yeah.
yes, yes,
So-
yes. She's been reinforced.
So I'm on stage. I don't know. Is she exaggerating? Doesn't look like she is. This
Be a very specific
She's wearing a
exaggeration.
Nazi costume. Uniform.
and
Tell.
and I didn't know. I also like. Again, we talked about once where when Brittany Griner got released, I said Brittany Griner got released, and someone went boo, and I turned into the worst comedian where I said I think it's good when Americans are released from foreign prisons, and disaster became the educator. So I didn't know what to.
So what did you do?
I think I said, yeah, that's not good. And then I went to college for musical theater. Went into that chunk, try to get him back. But then
You're like, so this pedophile can dance.
but I didn't know what to. Then I was like, what's my? Do I report this?
Well,
Do I just talk about
interestingly,
it on the podcast and hope someone deals with it on their own?
I had a similar crowd work thing happened in Minneapolis. I was on stage. It was a terrible crowd, and like this has been my first year of doing an hour. So when I see it, the crowd's bad for everybody. I was like, oh fuck, like I gotta go.
Sure.
And I asked. There was one guy who just would not laugh at anything. He looked miserable, and I was like, "What do you do?" And he's like, "I work at the Minnesota sex offender program." And I was like, honestly, that's fair. I was like, you never know what anyone's going through because I'm telling jokes and being like, this guy sucks. And he's like, the children, But
Yeah.
My approach was, because it's so dark, I just asked a ton of questions. I was like, what qualifications do you need to have to work as a
Sure.
sex offender? I was like,
That's the right kind of question.
Do you need
Like
a degree for that?
The wrong question is like, what did they do?
Yeah,
How
yeah,
many
yeah.
kids?
Yeah.
But sometimes in the moment, that's the funnier part.
But that's like when someone's like, we played Baby Shark 24 hours a day for the pedo. Like my first question would be like, whose idea was that?
Sure.
Like who brainstormed Baby
Yeah.
Shark? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
was it
yeah,
the
yeah.
warden saying that? Because then you can make them maybe not look like the bad guy. But Rory Scovel had a really good crowd work tip, which was you got to be a journalist. So if anything, if I don't have a riff for something, I'll just try and go deeper and pull back more layers until I understand what I feel is the core of the situation.
I think what was scary about this particular audience member is like they really wanted to look. They were fine with being bad or evil. So like every question was scary because they would add something that was so more fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but that's the right tag. It's like if someone works at the Holocaust memorial, you don't say like, describe the pictures there for me.
Yeah.
You go like, have you ever seen someone come in and do something weird?
Yeah,
Like it's
like, what was your dream? That's always what I'm like. You ended up at the hall.
dream job?
How'd you end up at Yad Vashem?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
and then this woman came up to me after the show, and I didn't want to talk to her anymore.
Yeah.
Now I'm convinced she's a criminal, and she wanted to tell me another prison story, and she said, and again at this point I'm like, I hope this is all I hope you're insane and you're making it all up.
Yeah.
But she said
She's not.
she told a story. She said we had a warden who was racist, and one day she was getting the mop out of one of the prison cells, and she pushed it, and it splashed, and white gunk got all over her leg, and that the prisoners had been jerking off into this bucket for the last 30 days because they were going to throw it onto the racist warden. And then she said, and I started throwing up, but I was wearing my anti-rape belt, I guess, which they wear, and she was throwing up into her. We should add a warning to this episode. And she was throwing up into the thing, but she couldn't take off her thing, and that's her.
And that's
man.
Aunt
And
Debbie.
what would your follow-up question would have been in that scenario?
There's an anti-rape.
There's
belt.
a
They should give those out to women in college. That probably would have been my follow-up question. But that's so dark. People adding details with that level of gratuitousness, I think I'd have to comment on how many. She's like a Mad Libs of gory details.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I would just probably have to stop her at each point along the way and go, really? But the thing is, crowds don't. The crowd, you'll lose the crowd once you get to details like
That's
that,
the
no matter
thing.
what.
Yes.
Yeah, people were probably freaked out in the crowd.
But also, I think what was tricky is that I think there was a degree of like, I think inside myself, I go like, you shouldn't do that. Let them go to sleep. But then I think some people in the crowd are like, hey, what are you a fan of pedophiles?
Yeah.
And it was just too advanced for me.
I try and remind my
felt like
crowds. My crowds come thinking they're going to see crowd work because I don't post material. I just don't have enough time
too.
to post. So I tell them when something crazy and crowd work is happening and they're not laughing, I go, this is what you paid for. You looked at this. You looked at the TikTok, saw the crazy crowd work interactions, went, I want to go pay to see that. You're seeing it right now and not enjoying it. So what are we doing here? That's what I said during the pedophile thing because I started to lose them after like 15 minutes of Minnesota pedophiles.
Here's what I did. This was the good move that I did. I said, Miss, do you understand that I'm recording this from 3 different angles right now? Why would you say you know what comedians do? I said if there was a comedian doing stand-up comedy in front of where Epstein was killed, we'd know who did it.
Yeah.
And as I was doing, I was like, oh, that's a good clip, but I'm like, I can't use any of it. So
Wait, why?
because I feel like someone admitted to torture on a video and I can't track it. There's nothing can we agree there's nothing for me to do? What am I going to look up prisons in Plano, look up the ticket sales of the club?
But wait, are you
accuse this
saying that
person?
you're nervous that you're
I
going to
feel-
look like you're not doing something about a crime because you were a They did the torture.
They
It's
did
not
the
your
torture,
job to...
But is it my job to go report it?
you don't
can
know
put
her
it on the
name.
internet.
I don't
That's
know her
better
name.
than reporting it. Because
Yeah.
then you're sharing it with everyone and then someone can take it into their
So
hands.
sure.
Potentially the most moral thing to do is to post it and benefit personally from the ticket sales that it generates.
I understand your stress.
I mean, I thought about maybe not even talking about it on the podcast, but to a degree, I'm like, the question is, should I do something? Here's the full thing I could do. I could say to the club, hey, I feel like someone admitted to a crime. Can we locate who this person is? Can we look at who sent the tickets? Can we follow their email? Can we look at their work history? Can we find the prison?
I don't think you need to do that. I think you could post the video and someone
Asking
crazy
the
on the
Albany
internet will
funny
do
bone.
that. Someone in Plano will see the clip. They'll know who it was.
But don't you feel it's in poor taste for me on my comedy channel to post a video of someone admitting torture and then me?
Well, because it's
you
not
know-
that funny. is
No,
the
you're
thing.
a journalist.
But you're saying
Yeah.
because you don't have a
Yeah.
funny thing out of it. It doesn't. You don't come across as being like, "Whoa, this is a funny zinger."
No,
It's
but you
just
had
like-
some good. It sounded like you had some good lines in there.
There were
So
some
you-
good lines,
So
but
this is what you do: you cut out the things that weren't funny, just like any crowd work clip. You keep the things
But
in
I
that
feel
were.
like when you hear someone potentially admit to torture,
Yeah.
the job is to go, no, that's bad. Let them sleep. Right?
No one's ever admitted to torture to me. I don't have a
Especially in a theatrical thing, you're like, is this person exaggerating? Are they playing it up to
Your job in that scenario is to make light of it. Her job is whatever she chose to be that day.
Sure.
And the internet can decide who's in the right and who's in the wrong, or who's in the right and whether the torturing prison guard is in the wrong.
Yeah.
Obviously. But the internet can track them down. But it's not your job during a comedy show to tell
No,
her not to torture. Is it?
Yeah,
Is
well,
that what
she's
you're
done with the job, so it's done.
Right.
You
Well,
know,
she did, torturing happened.
Yeah.
yeah, the
Yeah.
torturing happened.
Yeah. Are you concerned that you look like a
Allegedly.
bad guy?
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
You're concerned that you look like a bad guy for not more firmly denouncing it in the moment?
To a degree, I don't think anyone would think I should in the moment. They would understand the context. But whether it's like after the fact, when she comes up to me, that I didn't go,
What?
Hey.
You punch her? What do you like? What would you do?
I don't know.
Listen,
I try to kick her. She's still wearing the belt. I break my foot.
we all meet people that we don't. There's no good way of like. It's like if a president that you like don't like, if you had to meet them, you're not actually going to do anything. You're not actually going to be like, fuck
or
you,
the Uber.
George Bush. You know,
when your Uber driver says he hates Jews, when you get a white guy Uber driver and you go, "Oof, you had so many privileges and you're driving an Uber," and then here comes the tirade, and then he gives you one because he assumes you're not Jewish. And right?
Sure, but if he said to me, "I punched 3 Jews this morning,"
yeah.
Well, you have his name.
I should report it to
You
Uber.
have his name, and you can report to Uber.
Yeah,
it's much easier situation.
Yeah, you report that, but you also go, "I'm not going to be Jew number 4." Do you know what I mean?
Sure,
I'm gonna get out of the Uber.
You must get that. You must have a lot of, because I look more Jewish than you do. I would think. I don't think of Jews as blondes in general.
Yeah.
And
I'm a little blonde too.
Yeah.
I just got a part as a Nazi in a short film for that reason.
Did you really?
Yeah, because they wanted a Jew, but they wanted one that looks like a Nazi.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Do you ever deep down when you're alone go, would I have pretended?
I used to think that. Oh no, I would have. But the question was, would I have gotten caught?
Sure.
I would have pretended. Yeah.
How do you think you would have been caught? You would have complained about something, and they go, "Oh,
there's a draft.
There's a draft.
It's chilly."
What did you say?
What's going on? Hold on. Slow down. All of the Nazis I do are gay. I don't know why I make every Nazi gay.
The German, it sounds a little gay. The German accent, I think.
Yeah.
It sounds fun that way.
Boy
kind of being
complaining.
bitchy with the German, accent.
It does have a little
fun.
bitchy feel.
Yeah,
to it.
yeah.
Can you do one?
Not really. No.
Paige,
I'm not an
let's hear
accent guy.
9 is the correct.
But yeah, I think I could have gotten away with it. Maybe. I mean, I went to the Holocaust Museum and I saw.
Do people go like, "Oh my God, you're the guy from the picture"?
No, but they have like an exhibition, like stories of different people's ways of surviving. And one was this very Aryan-looking young woman who had gotten fake papers as a Christian, and that's how she survived. And they were highlighting that. I don't think that makes you like a traitorous Jew.
No.
I don't think you have to be like a noble Jew and get on the train. Do you know
Sure.
what I mean?
I'm just saying, like, would you have been like a lieutenant?
Oh, like in the
Like a Nazi. No, there's a
have
big
tried to
difference
escape,
between
yeah.
being escaping and then joining
Yeah,
in.
but I see what you're saying. If you stay in Germany with your fake
Yeah.
papers, then frankly you do get drafted if you're a young man.
That's what I'm saying.
All right.
I gotta say, this is one of the most fucked episodes we've ever had.
Yeah.
That's what happens when the box doesn't work. Has anyone ever said anything to you that's virulently anti-Semitic?
Yes.
What have they said?
This actually happened when I graduated. I graduated high school. I went to a graduation party. My friend went to Westminster, a boarding school. I would love to remember these guys' names. Actually, I do remember one of their names. I remember both of their names. And I would say them because they were so anti-Semitic to me. I actually promised myself that day that if I ever had a platform, I would use it against them.
You're gonna go full names?
I don't know. Now you're giving me cold feet. This is like.
I love that you were like, when I have a platform, and then you come on the downside, and you're like, here are their full names on someone else's.
I'm going to use my platform.
I've been doing shows for years, and I've never revealed their names. But today, I do it here on the downside. Dox them!
I thought you were saying, like, I'm going to wait until, like, a podcast that people listen to. Like, the moment I'm on Joe Rogan, that's when I'm going to go,
That's when you're
Joe,
gonna
before
do
we
it."
get into the vaccines, I'd like to call out 2 anti-Semites.
Yeah.
And I'll say their first
They're probably
names for
listening
now.
to it right now. Yes.
Anti-Semites.
This is what happened. We're at a graduation party. Now that I'm on the downside, I feel that it's time that they.
And these
pay.
are your friends. You're friends with them.
They're my friends' friends.
Okay.
So my friend is Jewish. He went to this place, Westminster, very waspy boarding school in somewhere where most people hate Jews, and they called him Jetski because he played ice hockey and he was Jewish. So they called him Jetski, which was Jewish Gretzky. So there was always like
Okay.
some air of anti-Semitism with his friend group, but
That was better. I was worried. I was like, somehow this is going to be so fucked up.
no.
But it was,
it was like fine, but it was like he got called Jewish by his boarding school friends. I'd never met the boarding school friends. I go to this graduation party. We all get drunk. I fall asleep in, I guess, one of the beds that these guys had claimed. They had like outfitted this barn with like a bunch of air beds, and I guess I took the air bed that this guy wanted. And I was really drunk, and they're like hitting me, like trying to wake me up, and I guess I'm not waking up, and they're like, get out of my bed. And I'm like, just drunk, like,
Yeah.
no. And then I finally like wake up because they're yelling at me. and they called me the K word. I don't know when it became Jewish.
Wow.
By the time I was awake, it was already Jewish related. They were like, "You don't believe in Jesus? We're gonna beat the shit out of you!" Like, it was like the most
Just incredible.
It was so anti-Semitic and so explicitly anti-Semitic. I'd never experienced anything like it before. Ever. And it was two of them and one of me, and I was like really skinny. I wasn't gonna fight them, and they got in my face and they kept yelling like Jew and the K word and again and again and again and again. And I just I was like, okay, can I have the arrow bed? I gave him the arrow
You're
bed.
just like, no, I'm German, I swear to God.
I was just like, I was like, you guys could.
That's.
It was crazy.
Do you remember, like, were you like, please, like, were you begging for them to? What did you even say?
You know when someone's like, have you guys ever had an interaction with a stranger where they say something so insane and rude that you're just dumbfounded?
Yeah.
I just remember being dumbfounded. Like I didn't know how to react. I was a little scared because there was something particularly scary about like how anti-Semitic it was with the physical threats. That I was like, these guys might actually just beat me up right now.
People are drunk too, so you're like,
yeah. And I was drunk and waking up out of a slumber, and they were incensed by the time I was even awake. So I was like, I didn't even have anger yet, and they were already at like 10 out of 10. So I just remember like kind of giving them the bed, and then I woke up in the morning and they had left like very early. And they kept trying to, I think they tried to reach out through my friend and apologize somehow. And I was like, no, never again. And then I promised I would never go to a place where they ever were. So every time they went to hang out with that guy again, I said, I'll never see them again. And I'll never see them again. And if I'm ever in a position of power. And thank you for bringing me on the dad side, because today is Judgment Day. And went to Westminster High School, and I think that's what they did to me. They were drunk 17-year-olds, and you know, when did Brett Kavanaugh do all this shit? 16? 17. I think they should be held accountable. That's what I have to say about that.
All right.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I don't even know that I pronounced their names right, and I'm not 1,000% sure.
They're praying you did not. They're praying it's
I'm not
pronounced
1,000% sure that
It'd be funny if there's
that
people
is
with
their
those
names.
that are not those.
But listen, they would have had to go to Westminster High School.
Yes,
That's the problem with these white names. You're like, John Smith.
You're like, John Smith,
Bill Buckley.
Gets you.
And they're like, woo! There's three Supreme Court justices named Bill Buckley. Okay, let's take this scenario further. Okay, so they reach out to you, and they go, "Hey, we heard you on the downside. Luckily, we went on the YouTube. There's only 7 watches so far, but we're nervous. We're nervous that Russell's going to blow up from Titanic. People will start listening. we have a family.
They're like really, really knowledgeable about everybody's background.
They're like, we're big Titanic fans. We've turned around. We're super. One of us came out of the closet, and what could they do that would make you find forgiveness? Do you think there's any forgiveness to be had?
I think, I forgive them. In fact, like at this point, I mean, it was so unspeakably terrible what they did, but it didn't. There was no trauma. It didn't last. Other than me, I've never forgotten it. I'm still complaining about it. But I think whatever. If enough people listen to this that they actually did get punished.
Yeah.
I think probably whatever punishment they would get would probably outweigh the crime. Like if they lost their jobs now, I would think that's too much, but I would also chuckle.
Yeah.
And then I would totally forgive them. That's like more than enough.
Oh, what a world we live in.
I think they tried to apologize back then, but I would say now if they I mean, listen, they're probably not that anti-Semitic. I mean, they can't hate Jews.
I just think
much.
especially the K word.
Yeah.
Don't.
Russell, we know you like to. Okay. Try and hold yourself back today if you can.
It's so rarely said.
I know.
That it's strange to
gotta
even
go
know.
out of your
You know
way
what
to
word
say
we're
it.
talking
No,
about.
I actually don't.
See, that's what I mean.
You gotta go out of your way to
interesting. You
say
don't.
it.
Can we say it and bleep it later? Or that's just too much editing.
It rhymes with bike.
Yeah, and it starts with a K, and that's
And
all you
there's
need
no
to know.
other things. Yeah.
And it's not kabike.
No, I don't think I've ever heard that actually.
No other thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You learn something new every day.
But yeah, no, it was really something that they did that. I was shocked at the time because we were in New York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like everyone was rich and privileged and stuff. You would just think that, but yeah.
Well, for those listening, if you like this is
If you like what you're hearing
if
today,
you like what you heard today, you're a Debbie Downsider. That's what we call our fans, Debbie Downsider. Almost a little too sweet, I think, honestly.
Matt, if Matt and Sam reach out and sign up for the Patreon, we'll bleep out your last name.
Can you imagine if that's how we built the Patreon? Oh my God. Speaking of the Patreon, join the Patreon, patreon.com/downside. You get live episodes, you get bonus episodes. We're almost hitting 150 patrons, and then we're going to do, we're basically going to do an extra episode every month very soon.
Great
So
way
join
to
the
support
Patreon.
the Jewish community if you have something in your past that is, you could say, oh no, I'm actually I'm a patron of the Downside.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if there's like some fifth descendant of Hitler out there that I've read about? If he
Really?
joined. If it was like Randolph
Is
Hitler
he? And
joined.
people know him?
Yeah. Yeah, he didn't change his name.
That's crazy.
No.
It's crazy.
There's someone out there. I think he's probably like a third cousin and, something.
Yeah. I guess so. Yeah.
But patreon.com/downside link is in the comments. Do we know when this episode's coming out yet?
I do, but I don't know the date off the top of my head.
Okay, that's fine. If by the end, if you want to check it out, we've had so many cancellations, people who
Because things
went
are going
through-
well, but people, canceled.
Yeah, but they
From
wouldn't
time
have
to time.
canceled on Rogan, and I will remember it
Okay.
when I'm the liberal Rogan. when we give you a vaccine on air.
Yeah.
We're sponsored.
Yeah.
Every ad's for Big Pharma. We go all the way.
And instead of smoking cigars, what do we do? What's the liberal equivalent?
Of smoking cigars.
We're just
It's like sucking little dildos.
just
It's the liberal.
You like a
Cigars.
dildo? Oh my God. Russell, I did want to bring up that I did see in the news. I didn't know they did this. There's submarines. You can pay $25,000. It sounds like something your family would do.
Not 25,000. 250,000.
$250,000 to go on this submarine, and you get to visit the remains of the Titanic. And
it's gone missing.
it's gone missing.
The submarine, the tour, the latest tour. But they were very cagey. They were like, we don't know if anyone's on it. You're like, what? How does this work?
What? First
Like-
of all, why is that $250,000? That seems like that's way too much money for that offering.
It's very dangerous.
Because I just feel like people would do it. Imagine you're so rich.
Is
you
it
can
a
have
deep
anything in the
sea
world.
submarine? It's like a very
it's
deep
12,000 feet down into
Deep enough that it
Okay.
can go missing completely.
Yeah, and they're
Right,
doing a
that's
search, but those people are dead.
Yeah, there's no rescue.
If anyone's on that, they're dead.
And
How long's it been missing? Like days?
Again, it's all very cagey. The people who run the tour are not saying if anyone was even on it, but it seems like days.
But they are offering a sale for all future trips.
Yeah.
It's now $6.
My question is, are you gonna? They've had some tragedies. Who was it who passed away? Who's in Titanic? But it was a performer, the singer.
No, singer.
The singer.
Celine Dion is still alive.
No, but the other singer.
The other singer.
Yeah, the woman who died
Tina
recently.
Turner.
Tina Turner.
Oh.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Okay,
Proud Mary.
So when Tina Turner died, Tina Turner makes an appearance
Yeah.
as the iceberg in
Yeah,
the show.
yeah,
And
yeah.
at the beginning of the show, they mentioned, Tina Turner. Celine Dion got diagnosed with
Yeah.
horrifying disease. They make an
Stiff
announcement.
person's disorder.
I feel like it's only right for
know,
you to make
I-
an announcement about
Is
this thing.
Titanic causing
Yeah,
people to die?
But I
it's
don't
the
know if
ordering.
the Lost Submarine is a big enough story. I think the Celine Dion actor, if they wanted to put it into their improv to give a little more context, could do it. I don't think I could do it in my quick little line thing.
I mean, like a pre-show, like, ladies and gentlemen,
oh
you've
no,
surely
God
seen
no,
the news.
no one cares about rich people getting lost, and you know what I
Yeah.
mean. Like that's not a thing. So I don't think anyone cares about that.
I know you talked about it's cliche for people to be like, you're making jokes about the Titanic. People actually died there. But it is funny. I watched the show again for the second time. And there is a moment where they're like, the iceberg. And they do a little face.
Yeah.
And I did think, like, man, I hope the afterlife is real, only to imagine the survivors of the Titanic
Meeting the
just
cast of Titanic.
just watching this show. and they died from hypothermia. They fell. They watched their loved ones.
Yeah.
Oh, there they go. There they go. And on the stage, it's a Tina Turner as the iceberg.
You know, all those people had a lot of ego. They needed to be on the biggest ship of all time. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. We would say we're making fun of the movie, not the thing. Blah 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 blah.
But it's also the over 100-year rule.
Yeah,
like in 100 years, I think there'll be a comedy musical. Play where it's like Sandy Hook. You know?
Yeah. Oh my God.
All right.
I thought 9/11 was bad. You found a different fucking.
Yeah.
Fine.
No, but it is just strange the way we emotionally operate. I was saying to Tova, because I have, a number of Holocaust jokes, and part of me was like, I know when the joke is about the way people deal with tragedy, and when I'm like, oh, I'm just using the Holocaust for shock.
Yes. Yeah.
And I go, as I write more material, there is a part of me that if I'm really like trying to be serious or try to pretend my life has any meaning, it's like, oh, I do think if you desecrate tragedy too frequently, there is a way. Like my brother goes on Reddit and shares memes that I look at them where I'm like, this is just offensive. It's not even funny anymore. It's just like you made the worst thing you could.
Yeah.
And
the worst version of like an edgelord kind of thing. Yeah.
And with like AI and with the ability to make these things, I do think one could argue there is a numbing effect where if you make enough mass shooting jokes and a mass shooting occurs, you don't feel the chill of this is a horrible thing that happened that might spur people to action in a positive manner. And so like I do get why, for example, if someone makes a Holocaust joke or someone does a Heil Hitler as a joke on stage or something, that the leagues or whatever go, hey, you shouldn't do that. I get it. And I don't know what your thoughts are, because we both like we all like edgy humor to a degree.
I like how stand-up makes the decision for you, I feel. I mean, listen, I guess it's up to every comic to decide like what's hack, so to speak, because hack can work. But for the most part, I just try. First of all, I write mostly personal comedy, so I haven't been in a place. I do have a joke. I slept with a Holocaust denier, which is a true story, which I can tell.
Please, you slept with a Holocaust denier.
Well, she wasn't denied. Well, I can tell you the story, but yes, sort of. Yeah, yes.
What was she like? Maybe it happened.
Did you know this before or after? I'm not making a judgment either way.
Before we slept together?
Yeah,
I knew. Yeah. So we had a conversation.
You ask before everyone you have sex with. Hey, can we talk about something? And she's like, oh no, do you have an STD?
It's a new policy. I wonder how many anti-Semitic events I have to be a part of. Also, it's hilarious that you asked if I've ever experienced anti-Semitism, and sleeping with a Holocaust denier didn't even cross my mind at the time.
She made up for it, for sure.
Well, here's what we were on a date, and somehow the Holocaust came up, which in the bit I'm also like, it's bad start for a first date.
Yeah.
But she was like,
that should be one of the OkCupid questions. What's your sign? Did the Holocaust happen? Yes, no, maybe.
One of the little, there's like a little avatar for the vector, the way that Hinge does it. They have like the marijuana leaf for marijuana, and then they have like an oven for the Holocaust. I'm sorry. See, I don't like that. I don't love like oven stuff is, I think, hacky.
Sure.
I know I just did it, but.
I just did it because I said Jay Leno and Adam Carolla are opening up a comedy camp. And I said, I'd rather go to a concentration camp, which was fine. Yeah. And then I think the tag I wanted to do was like, that one thing, the comedy camp is not going to have showers. And there's some, but the problem is the showers joke has truly been.
Yeah.
Has
any oven, any shower.
Yeah.
But I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. It's there.
Yeah, totally.
It tickles.
And it works usually because people, it's the same with the train oven showers are the kind of
those are the emojis. If we're going to capture the Holocaust in emojis.
Yeah, those are the inanimate objects most commonly associated with the Holocaust. The real Price is Right of Holocaust items. But no, she was like, she didn't deny it. What she said was, everyone likes to say the Holocaust was bad. I was like, I know. I was like, I don't think everyone likes to say that. I think it sort of just was. But she goes, everyone likes to say the Holocaust was bad. But if you or I were in that position back then, we would have been German soldiers. To which I replied, I think if I were in that position back then, I would have been a Jew still. I don't know what part of this hypothetical we switched sides in.
Oh my God.
So that actually happened, and then that's also in the bit. But then the bit was kind of about like getting over to just deciding that I wanted to have sex with her, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can understand that
That
part.
is
But
very funny.
but what she was trying to say is that like we as the Americans, like Americans in the world
No,
stage,
she put herself into the German shoes though, which is interesting.
She was making a point about how it's like white people saying like if I were around during slavery, I wouldn't have been a slave owner.
Yeah.
And her point was like, yes, you would have, sort of. But she kept
Let's go
quoting.
around. Would you have been a slave owner? I would not have been.
No, me either.
Okay. This is our edgiest episode of all time. I gotta tell you.
so.
I don't know if I'm making it edgy. I feel bad if I'm making it too edgy.
No. We're Jews.
Yeah.
Listen,
We're all Jews.
you guys are on the hook for this one, that's for sure. I'm gonna be in a podcast a couple years from now, and I'm gonna call out 2 anti-Semites. My co-host Russell Daniels. Hey, Jonathan. Did after the sex? Did you go like, hey, let's revisit this?
No. So she said so many things on that date. Like, so she has a thing. She's a big Republican, and she has a thing where she just wanted to say Republican things to get liberals angry.
Yeah.
And she knew that I was
Yeah.
liberal, and so she just said
She
a
got
bunch
joy
of,
from it.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
That is weird though. That's the thing about conservative. A lot of the ones I've experienced in my life too. That it's like they like, and if they try to get you, and usually it's like a weird way of like being like, well, Biden, you're like, I don't care either. You can throw him in jail. I don't care. And that enrages that. Like,
Yeah, they get
don't know
mad
how to like
when
get
you don't
to
give
you
it a
because if
rise.
you don't,
I
if
would
you
never
don't,
go like, I love Republican tears. I love a glass of Republican tears in the morning.
Trans people are so amazing. What do you think? That was like the liberal equivalent of
Yeah.
what she was doing, because she kept trying to bait me. She said another thing. We were sleeping together, by the way, without protection, and she said I'm pro-life, but I'm not on birth control. But if you were to get me pregnant tonight, I would have an abortion. And I was like, then you're pro-choice.
Yeah.
So I was like, pro-choice is just pro-choice for
Any
you.
part
So
of
if you would choose to have an abortion,
any part of you hoping that she got pregnant just to make her a hypocrite? Like,
I know how to win this argument.
okay.
Give me 30 seconds and I can win this thing.
Oh,
So
man.
she said so many insane things. She tried to, because I'm Jewish, she tried to give me a Christianity book. She tried to convert me. She told me I was
called
going
the
to
Bible,
All
Lucas.
this first date.
What is
my
this
God.
Christianity?
How long
book?
did you see her for?
I was laid over in London, and then
This is
I
almost
was
twice as long as my Jewish book. Is there a second part?
She tried to give me some kind of Christianity novel. I didn't understand it, but
Oh no, Jesus died. I like this guy. Keep reading.
it was written by the guy who wrote Narnia.
Oh yeah. Oh, did she try to give you? I think I've read this book.
Yeah.
You're talking about C.S. Lewis.
Yes.
And it was on faith, or it's called. He wrote a book about faith.
Some Christianity book. C.S. Lewis did.
That is honestly, it's one of those. I was never a Christian, but when I was feeling very existential, it was
Yeah.
like a book more about like the existence of God.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I didn't read it. I don't read
And
in general,
how
and I
if
was
the
like, I'm not
Holocaust
gonna-
happened now, we would be the Germans. That was a weird chapter that I never understood.
And that's what the chapter was called too, by the way. It was called "If the Holocaust Happened
Yeah.
Now, We'd Be the Germans." Very redundant chapter. It was pretty much explained by the title, but
It's a good book though. I mean, like he's an eloquent speaker, and then he's one of those you hear some of the other views and you go, oh, you're crazy.
yeah. Well, she said, "I don't want you to burn." So she said, "I'm gonna give
She
you this."
said that.
Yeah. She said, "I don't want you to burn."
Goddamn, the dick must be good.
He's
He's like, you know what? I want you to burn before this, but
I don't want you to burn. That is the crazy thing too, is like believing that. I have such a hard time visualizing literal hell and literal heaven.
it's so many different
so
beliefs at
hard
once.
to imagine a literal burning place that you're just sitting there burning. Because you got to imagine if you're burning for a certain amount of time, it just feels natural. Like it just
Is that how you've comforted yourself about going to hell?
It just starts to feel like everything.
Everything's fun
at
if you're
first
there
it's
long
really
enough.
bad, yeah, and then you're like, okay, and then you're like, and then you will make friends eventually. Like you'll have to eventually like befriend Osama
People
bin
forget
Laden
before he
and, like,
perpetrated the
Hitler.
Holocaust, Hitler was an artist. You know.
You view hell as like stepping into a hot tub.
Well, no.
At first, it's like a
I
little.
think it's like really no.
toasty.
I'm saying it probably is really, really bad, and like it's horrifying. But even after like imagine 1,000 years of it, they're not that creative. Like it's probably the same thing over and over again. So you would just get used to it, you know?
Yeah.
And you would just be like, and you'd have to make friends. We all make friends everywhere we go. So I'm just saying, like,
I think that would be a better case. Instead of trying to convince people hell is not real, convince them it's not so bad.
yeah.
That's a very interesting. I don't think not to judge. I don't think I would have slept with that person. They must have been
Yeah.
very attractive.
Yeah, she was. Yeah. She was, and also I will say,
She was,
She
and
also
she
was
wasn't.
repugnant. She also was the
She
worst.
also was vile.
She smelled and I just said, I'm gonna do it. I gotta do it for the bit.
she was
I need a
attractive, and on
closer.
second thought, not even physically. No. But what I will say is there was a part of me that was like, I need a new bit.
Yeah.
Like there was a little
Oh,
part of me
the
that was
things I
like,
do.
I'm gonna lean into this. You know, someone said to me, a comic said to me recently, like you're like when you're a comic, you're kind of like a movie reviewer, but sometimes in life it feels like the movie's stopped. Like when you have writing block, like there's nothing to, you got to like keep watching. The movie is
Yeah.
life in this metaphor, I guess.
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
gotta, and that was one of those moments where I was like, this is gonna be a bad movie for a little bit, but then it's gonna be a really good review.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Morally reprehensible to be sure, though.
had you were sleeping with
No.
someone you were like, I don't like him.
No, but not like out of like, it wasn't people aren't throwing. It wasn't like a, you know what I mean? Like I wouldn't say I wouldn't have done that. Is what I'm saying. It just hasn't happened.
Paige, I would never force you in a position of asking you such a horrifying question.
Not to that extent. I think more so just like regretting it afterwards.
Sure.
In hindsight, I'm like, that was like questionable, but not anything of like this person hates me or like my people.
Like you're like us, like you never like met someone who believed in the Holocaust, and you're like, I'm still gonna sleep with them.
He thinks it happened, but he is hot.
How about you, Gianmarco?
Yeah, have you ever slept with someone just terrible? Terrible?
There was this one. Since we might as well we're just saying it all in this episode. There was someone I hooked up with after she was a Jew, a London Jew, and it was after LOL.
This was
Comedy
in
Club.
this is in London. For
No,
me.
no. She came. She was in Times Square.
Oh,
She came
okay.
to LOL Comedy Club,
Oh,
and something about her was bad.
Yeah.
About her was bad, and she. If anyone feels uncomfortable, feel free to tell me to stop the story. She I think it's called stealthing. Is it stealthing?
I don't know what that is.
She
snuck her finger up your ass?
pulled the condom off, like really fast.
Oh.
Really, like she was on top, got up, took it off, went back, and I had like 0.7 seconds, I think, to make a decision, and I let it happen.
Oof.
And you know, if I had had more time, if I had had like a couple weeks to think it
Yeah.
over, I think I would have made a different decision for sure. But like, and look, I was fine, and like I continued.
yeah.
But I knew something was wrong about her in
Yeah.
the way that like this decision didn't surprise me.
Yes.
And then later she like put on her Insta story like a video of like it was her and then like flashing it over to me and then back to her like on her Insta, and I was asleep.
Oh.
So just like it was one of those like
the most important detail you kind of snuck in there at the very end, and I was asleep.
like yeah, so bad vibes from like the beginning, and then they manifested themselves.
Yes.
And then I think the part that's on me is when I hooked up with her the next night because I said the only reason I'm a big old condom boy.
Yeah.
And I said,
Not
well,
big condoms, just you like using them.
clear.
I'm big on small condoms.
But I was like, my fear was always STDs.
Yeah.
And I said, well, if I did it without the condom the first night, might as well, before she goes back to London, get another round in.
Yeah.
And I remember I checked her Insta story for weeks after that because I was worried she was going to be pregnant.
Oh, good. I
And-
thought you thought she was going to like announce publicly that she had an STI on her Instagram story. I was like, you're going to have to check in with her privately for that. Hey, everybody, I have gonorrhea.
But I remember at one point she was at a party and she was like drinking in the
And you were
video.
like-
and I was like, still based on her character, I was like, that's not proof that
Yeah,
she's
yeah,
not
yeah,
pregnant.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
9 months later, I was in the clear.
Yeah.
But that was mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just bad vibes.
The most I could say is there was a lady one time I fooled around with in an alleyway of a bar in Maryland, and she probably voted for Trump in the future. Like she was given like
Years
that
later.
kind of
After you got-
energy.
do you think it's because she finally hooked up with a liberal guy and was like, you know what, I need a real man. These soy boys
guys
don't know
are
how to
beta
finger
cucks.
for shit.
Oh man.
He got cramps the whole time. He's like, can you do it for a couple seconds?
She just had an energy of like.
But
like,
I don't know if this is a male thing. I do find in general when I go on a date, I can't always tell how the date is going until I'm done. Now, I knew at the time this girl was denying the Holocaust. Don't get me wrong. That was clear as day. But there's this performative version of yourself you bring to a I might have sex situation as a man. At least I bring. Maybe I'll just
Sure.
speak for myself. Where I go, I'm blocking out red flags.
Yeah.
I'm blocking out first date in general. You don't get mad. You don't argue.
You agree with
find-
everything.
Yes, you're
You're
very
like,
agreeable. And so you find a way to say whatever needs to be said to make the interaction as smooth as it possibly can be. And in that mode, I was like, let me just finish what I started here and worry about it later. And then when I got home, I was like, oh, that was terrible.
Yeah.
But that's how I feel about every bad date, regardless of whether I sleep with them.
Yeah. I think I had one date. I remember in real time being like, yeah, same thing. I didn't think it was that bad in real time, and then I got home and I was like, oh, that was bad.
Yeah.
We didn't agree on anything. But you do agree because
Yeah.
you're like sure, like
Yeah,
you want to
totally.
keep conversation going.
Yeah.
So, but you don't realize in real time because you're just being so like
You get back
yes
to your-
anding to
yeah,
everything.
exactly.
You're like yeah.
You get home and you're like, well, I hated that, actually.
Yeah, I was a.
It's like when you bomb a job interview. You don't know
Yeah.
until the moment when that goodbye hits, and then you're like, I actually did a really bad job in there. I can tell now. Yeah.
Are you dating now?
I just went through a breakup within the last couple weeks.
I'm sorry.
Oh, how long?
It's a bummer. It was a.
Thank you. Some guests cancel when they go through a breakup.
I came here to complain about it.
Okay, you're gonna bleep that out.
Okay.
You're gonna
That
bleep
is so
that out.
vague. That's so vague. It's okay. It's okay. That's so vague. It's a joke. Everyone understands. No one will get it. That was just for us.
Yeah.
But thank you. Are you okay?
I'm okay. Yep. It was a very brief but very intense relationship.
Yeah.
So it was 3 months.
Okay.
But almost every day, hanging out
Wow.
Yeah.
all the time. And then it came to sort of a dramatic end. And I've had some conversations about what I say about it on podcasts with her. So I'm trying to find a diplomatic way to say that it's over. And she's a great lady.
At least she's still alive. You said dramatic end, and I was like, oh, could be.
She's very much alive
Yeah.
and well.
Okay.
She's
She's doing
similar
great.
to me because I listened to some other podcast episodes. We talk. We air our dirty laundry and our family's dirty laundry
Yes.
in a way that's not necessarily good. But it's interesting because you do it too. Like I listen to podcasts. I'm like, oh wow.
Yeah. I'm pretty open.
Do you think that has anything to do with coming from money?
Being open? No, because most of the rich kids I know lie about it. My whole thing was...
But you feel safe. Is it possible that you feel...
Like, I just know so many rich liars. But yes, do I feel safe about everything all the time? Yes. I'm never uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's two separate things.
Yeah.
I feel very safe to sort of do whatever.
I come from a degree... My parents are well off. It's not
No,
your situation.
I know.
What do you think? Because I feel like you're self-aware. You're a comedian. You know, you poke holes in your own thinking. What ways do you think? Because this is the downside that growing up with that amount of money has ruined you as a human being.
Well, it's a joke I never got working. It's hard to joke about it, but I've tried to talk about growing up rich a lot on stage to limited levels of success.
Talk it out now.
But one of the bits started where I was like, I will say, like, I grew up very rich, whatever you're thinking, more, but I never act like a spoiled, entitled rich kid unless one single thing goes wrong. And then I do. That was like the start of it. And then it was like a couple examples of that. But the truth is, like, when I feel that it's a negative thing, like when I feel that it makes me a bad person, I think probably the most prime example is when I see a line of any kind, I go, I'm
me. Buying the store.
I'm buying this.
So, or like, there's just an element of like, when I'm on an airplane and I'm not in the bed seat in first class, I go, I have an air of superiority about my vibe that I'm just like, I should be up there. But usually I am.
Yeah.
And if I'm not, I'm like, I should be.
Yeah.
You know? And I don't even think I should be on commercial aircraft. Don't get me wrong. But...
Sure.
I'm sort of kidding, but I do. I'm making light of like what is unfortunately a real thing, which is you do get a vibe of. My parents never said this explicitly, but there's a vibe when you are rich and everything is bought, and most importantly, the things that are bought. Not most importantly, most prominently, the things that are bought are like things that get you around the hoi polloi, so to speak, which is like a Yiddish term for like the masses, like. Then you get instilled in your mindset is this idea that you are better than people, whether your parents tell you or not. Yeah. Because my parents never said that. They said, be very grateful for what you have. You're very, very lucky. It doesn't make you better than people that you're wealthy. And now this guy is going to make us, we're going to cut the line at Six Flags and go ride the roller coaster in front of all those other families. So my parents are like, you're not better than them, but you are going to get on the roller coaster before them, and you're going to leave after them, and you're going to go home in an air-conditioned suburban SUV.
Do you feel like there's any difference between someone who goes, I'm a better being, like my existence is more worthy, or those that go, I got so fucking lucky, I know it's not. I know if I'm on an island someday, I'm just as equal as everyone else. I feel like there's two different kinds of rich people, like self-aware.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's better to be, because I feel like there's a lot of people that just like pretend that that's not a part of who they are and their upbringing. And I think that feels so much worse. Like I remember one time seeing an interview with Anderson Cooper, and he grew up with this insane, family. What's their names in New York?
Come on, you must have summered with them.
Gloria Vanderbilt.
Yes, the Vanderbilts. Yes,
yeah,
Vanderbilts.
close friends.
And so, but like then they're asking about that, and he did the classic thing of being like, but they always said you got to make it on your own and pull yourself up, like that kind of thing. Where you're like, that's not helpful, and it doesn't make you any like. It doesn't bring us closer to you. It just puts us like, you're bullshitting us. You're bullshitting us.
My family at least was very fine, there was a big sense of humor. Like we were always made fun of for how spoiled we are and how much help we got.
Yeah.
And I think that was helpful because nothing's worse than the rich kid that pretends he did it himself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it really is pervasive across everything. Like take, for example, I'm legitimately able to be a professional comedian now. Like things went well for me online. I can sell enough tickets that I can make like a full living, live my life. I am financially independent, which is to say I have access to all of my trusts and all the money in the world, but I don't need it. I live within my means in the $2 million apartment that my parents bought. And
Yeah.
I pay the maintenance fees fully myself. And, but I couldn't have even been, I wouldn't have had the time to devote to being a professional comic if my parents hadn't said, go be a professional comic. We will support you. My dad said to me, I will pay for your whole lifestyle to do it for 2 years. And if you can make it from there, then good. And if not, but having money gives
and
you
if
time.
not, what? Like, was your dad ready to be like your cutoff?
I think it's never been necessary. I've never been the kid that goes and asks for money.
Sure.
So I don't think that we were at that kind of. I think he would have been like, "Hey, this isn't working out.
Yeah.
I think you should get a job," and I would have been like, "I care what you think enough
He's like,
to
there's
probably
only
go get a job."
25% of the tickets sold at Asylum tonight. I think you're going to need to do a little bit better than that.
Sunday at the Indianapolis Helium was looking a little light. Yeah.
Yeah, I just always wonder. I sometimes think about, because my parents supported me probably until I was like 25, and then I just lucked out with some acting stuff, but I always wonder, like, if there's this mix of like, if you had to work a side job, you might not be able to. If I wouldn't have been able to do the acting classes and blah 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 blah. But then there's another part of me that's like, if you know that there's not this kind of net beneath you, you might work even harder, more strategic. You might be thinking in a way where you need to succeed.
Yeah.
I remember there's one when I won the competition at Comics Mohegan Sun. Mm-hmm. And again, it's kind of like there's a degree where, like, it's not like I was going to be homeless or anything, but I was going off my own money, and I bought like a suit for $1,000, and it was a big purchase to me in that moment. And I went to that competition, and the prize was like $1,750 or something, and I was like, I need to win this competition.
Yeah.
And I really do think in that moment it made me do much better.
Yes.
And so there's a degree of like, you have to create mental games to be like, well, I do need to succeed, but you really don't.
Yeah.
Or you have to be so driven by, I want to be a great comedian, as opposed to, I feel like I'm more driven by, I want to be a great artist more than I want to be rich.
Yes.
And that's why, because in that pursuit, no one can help me but myself and my abilities.
Yeah. Well, I will say I'm driven by that, or like when I started working out, I was very driven by like, no one above me respects me. No one thinks I'm good at comedy. Everyone thinks I'm this like TikTok crowd work guy that's like looked down upon, much in the way that like...
Who told you I said that?
You would be a perfect example of the kind of guy that would be in the club, and I'd be like, ugh, this makes me anxious. Like, this guy probably thinks I'm shit, and like, oh God, like, why is it that I always have the bad
I probably
sets?
wouldn't have been, I would be looking at my own notes, and
100%. And by the way, now that I've been in stand-up long enough to have a class below me, I see someone walk off the stage and look at me with that kind of look, who's younger and been in it less time. And I can see in their eyes them going, did he like my set? And me going, I was scrolling on Instagram the whole time. Didn't even listen, you know? And don't care. And by the way, if you bombed, I don't think less of you. There's like a couple things you could have said up there that might have made me think less of you. And I didn't notice you saying any of those things. But that was what was driving me, because I was headlining within I was headlining within 2 years of starting stand-up, I guess. Mm-hmm. And I was having panic attacks on stage because I was like, I'm not good enough to be doing this. I'm going to lose all the fan base that I've built. I'm not good. So that was like the thing that was really driving me to get better.
Yeah. Do you feel like seeing so many rich people, you have a deep understanding of how money does not, to be cliche, money does not buy happiness? Like, I feel like I've seen people with money be so fucking miserable that I know deep down that, and I see others where that is the goal. There is a real thing of like, oh, comfort will bring me joy. And I'm like, it really won't. It might make your medical, now when I think about money, I think more about like, I'll have a better doctor.
Yeah.
Travel will be easier. But I know that like money can be very isolating. I mean, I'm sure.
I think it's like notoriety, since you've experienced that. It's like an intensifier. That's how I think of notoriety. Is like money can intensify. If you're like a miserable drug addict and then you have a lot of money, you can do a lot of drugs and that really intensifies the drug addiction. If you're a very happy person already, yeah, it makes everything awesome. If you're in love, like when I was this ex that I had, like when we were falling in love, it was I had called my parents. I was like, "Can you send us on a vacation to the nicest hotel in the world?" And we did.
Whenever I remember when people be like, Justin Bieber rented out Madison Square Garden to take Selena Gomez to see the Titanic.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, he told his assistant to do all of that. Okay, when I do something, I gotta Google it from the beginning. Did they? They got you.
You're That's
real...
actually why we broke up. We broke up after the fanciest vacation in the world.
Where'd you go?
We went to the Amangiri in Utah.
Ooh.
We should have gone somewhere nice. You'd still be together.
We don't have to get into it. But
We can get into it a little. There's certain things I've been told not to say.
Was it because of that? I mean, listen, it's only been 3 months. Of course,
you
go away somewhere.
It got very hot and cold, the relationship. Like, it was very unsteady, and there was we had done a lot of crazy stuff in the beginning. We were so into each other in the beginning. We're like, this is it. We're going to this is the future. Like, you're the person, all of this in the first month. And obviously it's just crazy to do that with anyone before you really get to know them.
Yeah.
And then
I would think you're more cynical than that. I got to be honest.
I usually am. But this person brought this side of me out of me, and also had this side to her, and then sort of pulled back a little bit, and it just messed with me.
Yeah.
And so it had become this very unsteady thing. And then, like, the way we broke up was I was like, hey, like, I kind of gave her an ultimatum. I was like, listen, I can't be in a relationship that works this way, but I'm down to fix it if you want to fix it. And she was like, I don't, which is it's sort of funny when you give an ultimatum, because for some reason you have to pretend like you're down for either.
Yeah.
I'm like, listen, you're in or you're out, but either way. And she's like, I'm out. And I was like, oh, shit.
Hey,
God damn it. It's like when teachers are like, we can have a bad day or a good day. I don't care.
So
And it's
different ultimatum.
I was like, oh, so you're out then?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Oh, man.
But, yeah.
So your family, you have a brother and a sister?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You said your sister was special needs?
Sister has special needs. Brother was a heroin addict. So money didn't work. Money worked differently for all of us. But for me, it was great.
Yeah.
I never got addicted to drugs.
With your brother, did the money make it worse, as you said, an intensifier?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, he ran out of money. And then that's
how much
when
money are we talking? I mean, how much can you spend on heroin?
Well, if you're using oxy instead of heroin, like opiates, then you can spend a lot. I mean,
what's to not die and just take oxy? I mean, how much
you
money
could spend $2,000 a week on drugs.
Sure.
So that's
you could swing that. I could think
as a student.
He was. Yeah.
It was in college. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And he ran out of money.
Yeah.
And your parents had to say no.
Yeah. They said you got to go get help.
And he said, I met a girl. Can you take us to a hotel? Just give me the money. I'm going to do it for the hotel. I promise.
He said, I'm in love with blue pills. But the money, but that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I guess the money like intensifies anything you want to do. If you have means to do anything and then you feel strongly about anything, you can, you can create a stronger situation.
How's your brother now?
He's really good. He works in the addiction treatment space now, and he's like the number 3 guy at a very big addiction treatment startup that's gotten very valuable, and he's gonna be a very rich man when that business sells.
That's great.
When he went to rehab, was it like a nice rehab?
Yeah, he went where Mulaney went.
Wow.
Karen in Pennsylvania.
It's very funny to be like,
impressive.
I went to the Mulaney rehab center.
Yeah. But we all know that like that's probably the best one. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. That's the thing again with money. Yeah, it intensifies, but then you get to go to like the best fucking place in the entire.
Well, but Karen's the most effective one, I think, but it is in Wyomissing, Pennsylvania. So I wouldn't say it's the nicest. He was in Wyomissing, Pennsylvania in January. I mean, I went. It was pretty bleak, but there were famous people there when I went.
Oh my God.
So it was like,
Did they make you sign an NDA when you go in there? I feel like TMZ would be camping outside.
They gave us a little debrief at the time. I think I can talk about it now because it was so many years ago. And to your point about airing dirty laundry, it's one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
But at the time, do you guys remember Johnny Manziel, the football player?
Yeah.
So he was, at the time, he had just won the Heisman. He was like the biggest quarterback. And he was struggling with this drug problem.
Sure.
And it was all the rage about whether he was going to make it in the NFL. And sadly, he's, I think, a drug addict now. So
Jesus.
Story kind of, we know the end of that story. But at the time, this was like his first, they sent him to rehab, and this was going to be his NFL comeback. And he was my brother's roommate. So they sat us down when we got there, and they were like, hey, and my brother wouldn't even tell me who it was because this was like a very big deal at that time.
They're staying in the same room.
Yeah.
Wow.
But we couldn't really talk to, because there's a month-long detox. You couldn't really talk to. He went, and he was using, I didn't know he was using because he had entered AA, and then he had relapsed silently, and it was really bad, and I didn't know. So then he went to rehab, and then it was like a month of radio silence, and then we went to go visit. And then when we got there, they were like, there's a famous person here. So just keep it chill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I tried to keep it. I told my friends.
That's like one time Gianmarco and I did something, and I'm not going to say what it was, but they were like...
You got to join the Patreon to see it.
And there's going to be a couple celebrities that are going to be their special guests. And we'd heard about the other celebrities that were doing it. We knew all of them. There are a lot of comedy people. And then they showed us our celebrities. And I wish someone had recorded Gianmarco in my face because we were like, we had no idea who they were. And we had to pretend, though, that they were like someone. And we were like, wow, cool, very cool.
Oh, my gosh,
and then they were like, this is of course. And then they said their names. And we were like frantically pulling out Instagram to be like, who the fuck are these people?
I think I wrote both of them to do the podcast, and they're still big enough to not respond to the message. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was a good time.
Yeah.
And then I guess before we go to this has got to stop. How old's your sister?
Sister is 25 now.
Yeah.
And she's good. She'll never live independently. But here's the thing: is if you, I also tried to do this bit. I'm going to say a word.
Just, this is just as a comedian to comedian. You can just go into the story.
No, I know, but
comedians love to, they go like, this is a bit. And I'm like, you're allowed to lie and pretend you're really smart right now. Yeah. Like, there are people who thought Rodney Dangerfield was riffing it up there with Johnny Carson.
But sometimes I see what he's saying in terms of like, we've also had people where they're on the podcast and then they just go into a bit that you're like, oh, that's your stand-up routine.
Oh, you're talking about the bit that went so fucking viral?
Okay.
They got on Good Morning America the next day? Yeah, that was a great moment. I'm just saying, like podcasts are panels extended in the sense that Louis would go on Conan, and it did seem like it was all... Rodney Dangerfield was more formulaic.
Yeah.
But I feel like our generation of comics were more like, there's a degree of self-consciousness because we're worried someone's going to go,
got it.
Are you doing a bit right now?
Yeah.
For anyone to say, I will never say that to you. I will act like this is like, whoa.
Well, for this one, it's important to specify because otherwise, you know how Bergazzi once said that stand-up without laughs is a very mean speech? For a bit that
I've never heard that. That's
so very funny.
So funny. So for this is one of those where it's like and it's uncomfortable because I was going to use the word retarded and I can talk about why. But so I was going to do it and I didn't want. I love my sister very much and I was afraid that if I just brought it up in conversation, you guys would be like, Jesus fucking Christ.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
But the bit was that yes, she's retarded, but she's rich and retarded. And that's kind of the best thing to be, honestly. Yeah. I'd rather be rich and retarded than dumb and broke 8 days a week. And that was like the bit never worked. Never worked. Yeah. But she, her life is good. She owns a house. She's worth $20 million and she's doing great. She is, she's good. Yeah. She has a house and a staff. But she will never live independently.
Yeah. How old are you? Where are you in the kids?
I'm the middle.
The middle.
Do you mind what condition does she have?
She was born neurotypical, 6 months old. She started having a lot of seizures, maybe like extreme epilepsy potentially.
How old are you?
I'm 28.
Okay,
just
so you're
turned.
still a baby. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm 2.5 years older than her. This was really happening. The crux of it was happening when I was like 4 to 5. Mm-hmm. So I do remember being told, we got a crazy doctor. Doctors, this is kind of too long an explanation. Sometimes doctors are passed around the healthcare system instead of fired who are crazy.
Sure.
So as
Like
not to
priests.
create wrongful exactly. So as not to create wrongful termination lawsuits. So we got a crazy doctor, and the doctor said my sister was going to die. My sister was not dying, and that the solution was to pump more and more and more and more medicine into her, and that actually doing that was the thing that caused her brain damage at a very young age, and now she has special needs. But she was not born with special needs, and I think had we gotten a different doctor, she might not have even. Wow. She might have been totally okay today. But that happened. This really is the downside. Oof. And so I was old enough that I remember my mom saying, your sister's going to die. But I don't remember understanding it. Like it doesn't carry an emotional weight for me, but I do remember being told that.
Yeah.
Do you ever give thought to when your parents die, like who's you or your brother will take care and make sure everything's...
Yeah, so we're both her legal guardian already in the event that they die. Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
So and my mom, that definitely keeps my mom up at night because we're both very busy, you know?
Yeah.
But I just she's always like, are you going to be there for her after she dies? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, well, you don't visit her very much now. And I'm like, that's because you're alive. I'm like, it's your turn right now. Sure. I was like, I'll take my shift when you're gone. Yeah. And she was like, okay, that makes me feel better.
Yeah. Do you ever think about that? Do you see a world where she lived with you full time? Or
no, she'll never need to because she has $20 million.
Yeah.
But she...
Sure, but staff, I mean, fuck, I just read the book about, I'm sure you're friends, it's the guy who owns Viacom.
Oh, yeah, the Redstones.
The Redstones.
Close
you know,
friends.
Sumner Redstone, all the money in the world, frankly, in that case, only insulated the abuse that he was... Yes. That he was receiving from his two people. Like, there's so...
Yeah.
Money doesn't...
Well, I think we want to have a close eye on making sure that the people around her... First of all, like, the ideal situation is like a house, maybe 2 or 3 roommates who also have special needs, who they can all be friends, and then a staff that takes care of all of them. So, like, a mini group living situation that's highly tailored to her needs. And so but right now she has that. And there's a lot of oversight, and I think my job would be to keep the oversight as heavy as it is. But I also think she needs to have her own life. And she does too. Like, we all lived together during COVID, and she moved back in, and she's still 25. Like, she doesn't want to be living in the same house as her. Like, it was a disaster.
Yeah.
Like, she got very cabin fevery, and it was exacerbated by the fact that she didn't understand why we all had to be inside for 6 months. Yeah. And so, like, she wants to have her own life, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go on to This Has Got to Stop. I don't have the cues. Paige, can you do it?
This has got to stop.
Hey, I like it.
There we go.
That's better than Douglas.
Yeah.
This has got to stop. This is where, again, listen, if you like this show, join the Patreon, patreon.com/downside. One of the benefits is you can write me, the downside, WGS@gmail.com. Send me a This Has Got to Stop. We'll do it on the show or on a Patreon episode. And also, if you join the Patreon, you can listen to our new live episode with Molly Carney from Saturday Night Live. My This Has Got to Stop. People who come to my shows sometimes come up to me after and go, I'm sorry, I'm such a stalker. I watch your videos online. And then I saw you were coming here and I was like, I'm going to go to the show. That's not a stalker. That's my whole business model. You fell into my trap and there's no need to apologize.
Yeah.
It's like if a fish hopped on a boat. It was like, I'm sorry to barge in on you guys like this.
Yeah.
But it's such an interesting. I think it just reflects the way people look at like how they view online personalities.
Yeah.
Where it's some weird thing in their head where they're like, I'm a stalker, I'm naughty, and you're like, no, you're a fan. This has been the model for forever.
Frankly, if they were an actual stalker, you would probably still be pretty grateful that they were that interested in you.
It would be funny to see a stalker with that vibe.
You know?
I'm sorry, I'm like such a stalker, but I like broke into your house.
Like, I have
And I still
videos
be
of
like,
you sleeping.
please, I'm so happy you're here. So
that happens to me too. I hate that. Or this is the other one is You have that form. Okay. I requested to see you in West Virginia. Now you're in West Virginia.
Yeah.
And
You're
I'm like,
that's just how
right.
it works, baby.
I know. That's why I have
That's
the
why I
form.
made
You're
the
not
form.
the only one.
That's
Yeah.
why I did that. Yeah.
So all of you motherfuckers coming to my shows,
Don't
shut
apologize.
the fuck
Just come.
Find a
That's
different
not-
way to interact with me. Yeah.
I understand it though. I think the problem is you just like you have
They
the
wanna
same
convey they
interaction
like
100
you.
times, and
Yes.
you just go like, I don't even know how to make this fun or unique anymore. You just
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Do you
That's
sleep
my-
with fans? I know you're in a relationship, but did you have a fan base?
I'll tell you off the
His
mic.
face.
I'll tell you the mic. No, I timed it pretty perfectly where I was in a relationship right before people wanted to have sex with me.
Oh.
So that's been great. No, I mean, I did twice after like LOL. I think it's always weird because it would happen in acting sometimes where they'd see me on stage and they thought that I was so enjoyable that like, oh, this 15 minutes,
Yeah.
I'd love to spend 3 hours with this 15 minutes. And I'm like, these are isolated thoughts
Yeah.
that have been carved down for 5 years.
Yeah.
And so I always just felt I don't like the relationship where someone's fawning. That's
Yeah.
not appealing to me.
Yeah.
And I feel like they just think you're going to be more fun than you actually are.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
that being said, I had in the past.
Yeah.
But it's weird.
Yes. Yeah.
You ever slept with someone after Titanic?
No.
Any guys hit on you after Titanic?
No, not really. No.
Yeah.
No, I mean, people will send pretty nice messages that aren't sexual in nature.
You've never gotten one yet?
No.
Never gotten a dick
no.
pic?
Oh, no. I've gotten like bots, female Russian bots, you know, but that's not about Titanic, you know.
Sure.
That's just normal wear and tear on Instagram.
Do you have this gotta stop?
I do. Okay, this has got to stop. Hats. Starting to get to be summertime. People, you know, I see it every year. This happen with hats, and I'm not talking about baseball caps. I think as a society, people feel comfortable wearing them. We're used to them. I'm talking about adventurous hats because if I'm being honest, 90% of people, you can't pull them off. You can't pull them off. I don't see you anymore. I see a choice you've made. I see an aspiration to be someone that you're not. I feel you looking at that hat on Instagram or online and being like, maybe I could wear that. You can't. You can't. You are cosplaying. It's embarrassing. It's not. It's so unnatural. It's so unnatural. And it makes me sad. There's a sadness there that I'm looking at you and you're like, I'm like, oh, this is who you think you are. That's not who you are.
Now, are you specifically talking yarmulkes or something else?
No.
What specifically like?
You
what,
know the hat.
But
you
is it
know
men
it's
or
a
women?
big-
The wide
it's-
brim.
It can be both.
Yeah.
The wide brim. It can be both. Listen,
The
I think,
Coachella hat.
the Coachella
Yeah,
hat.
yeah,
and
yeah,
I think. I'm sad to say it, but I think that's reserved for like celebrities and like kings and queens, maybe
Yeah.
someone of a higher status than us. It just doesn't.
The bigger the hat, the
and
higher
once
the
in a while-
status.
if your
is how it
assistant
should
didn't
work.
buy it for you, you shouldn't
once
be
in a
wearing
while.
it.
Once in a while. That's why I'm saying 10%. 10% of people. They can kind of pull it off.
If you're
and
hot
like,
enough.
You're like,
Yeah.
whoa, okay. It feels authentic. It feels real.
Is it a hot
it
thing?
Feels,
If you're being honest, is it just hot?
no, it's
Is it
a
vibe?
mixture. It's
the right
part
type
of
of
it is
hot.
hot, but I think it's a confidence that also fuels into that, and also you have to have a certain kind of personality. There's just some people, a lot of people, they try them, and I just don't think. It just feels like you're putting on a costume.
Yeah.
I think it's a squares and rectangles thing. It's like
Yes.
not every hot person can pull off that hat, but every person who can pull off that hat happens to be hot.
Yeah.
In addition
Yes.
to whatever characteristics
But I
they
can also
have.
I could see like a weird kind of ugly person with a crazy amount of confidence, and that was a real character.
Yeah.
Maybe pulling it
Yeah,
off.
that's fair.
But I'm imagining now because I'm just saying like I usually see it and I'm like it's the only thing I can see. I'm like get that off. Like you're not selling it. You're not. I'm not buying it from
Yeah.
you. I just
Yeah.
don't buy
Yeah.
it from you. It doesn't feel real. It feels like you are trying to be someone you're not. And so stop hats. gotta stop.
Stop that.
Stop the
hats.
Coachella hat.
It's enough hats.
Oh, before we go to you, Paige, I did say if you join the Patreon now, we are offering new merch. We're offering Downside Coachella hats, and they're one size fits all. Paige, this got to stop.
Mine's kind of similar to Russell's. There's this thing of like people saying, is it a fit or is this person hot? Or sorry, is this a fit or is she skinny? And there's like, it's this very anti like woman thing in general. Because I mean, this is like a woman on woman hate crime, I think.
So women
Normally
are
we
saying
don't-
that.
Sorry?
Women are saying this.
Yes, or people in general, just online. But yeah, I think it's just like if that person has like a crazy amount of like confidence to pull this outfit off, like I think they can pull it off.
Yeah.
And it's also the thing of like not everybody can wear the same type of clothes. Like there are certain clothes that are made for certain body types, or at least like that fits certain body types better. Me as a thin person, I guess I can call myself, I can't wear the same clothes as like somebody who has like curves can wear.
Sure.
And it's just not going to look good on me. But to say that like, you know, is this a fit or is she just skinny is like, it's hateful and I don't like it.
Yeah.
We don't need to put down women at
No.
all.
Gianmarco,
Why can't we just lift people up?
Yes, Russell. Gianmarco, it's enough.
Gianmarco, stop
Seriously.
posting
Seriously.
that.
Stop putting down women.
Well,
It's
that was a rare downside female perspective on an issue.
That's what I'm here for.
That was a good one. I like that one. Lucas.
piggybacking off of Paige's about putting down women. I am sick of women. No, but this one, it might be slightly misogynistic. So jump in if I'm being misogynistic.
So now it's her burden as well to jump in.
Yeah.
Educate me, Paige. 23-year-old women who went to Tulane, Syracuse, and Michigan have to be stopped. Why are you that way? Why do you work in advertising? Why are you pro-Israel? Why are you all of the various things that you are? And why are you on my shows?
And why do you keep going on dates with them is the real question.
Stop going on dates with it. No, but it's so, there's a type, Syracuse, and men too, but Syracuse, Michigan, and Tulane breed this type of Jew that I'm not, I know I'm really bringing everything full circle right now, but it's this type of Long Island, New Jersey Jew that just drives me nuts. And they must be stopped. They need to go back to Long Island and New Jersey. That's what I think.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I don't. I was not agreeing with that. I don't know.
Wait, but I kind of agree with that because I have a
Yes, thank
friend
you.
who went to Syracuse who I'm no longer friends with.
Yes, communications major.
Advertising, like you were saying.
It's so
It's crazy.
It's the gaggle of people doing the same shit. I will say gender agnostic. It's the brunch squad.
Yes.
Everyone's wearing the same
Yeah.
outfits.
Yes.
You bought it at
I got it.
Bonobos or whatever. And
There's
you're
one of
in
them
the-
with a hat.
Yeah.
One of them has the hat in the group.
Yeah.
One of them's
One
trying
of
to
them-
differentiate with the
Yeah.
hat.
Yes.
They're in the East Village. They're waiting
Yes.
for brunch.
Yeah.
They're
And
drinking
when they
mimosas.
come to you after shows, they go, "I'm sorry, I'm such a stalker."
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
It all
all of
fits.
our. It's and they probably say, "Is it a fit or is she just skinny?"
Yes.
It is
Yes.
probably
Yes.
all of our. This has got to stop. It's embodied in a person, which
Yeah.
is to say the
Yeah.
type of person that is that. And I always wonder. I'm just like, is that enough for you to be all those things that everybody else is? Maybe I'm the idiot because I'm this like miserable comedian telling myself that I'm being unique when in reality the price I'm paying for being unique is my happiness. But so maybe it's that. Maybe I resent them because they seem legitimately satisfied with the nothingness of their existence. But that is what I see. I see a nothing existence.
Yeah. Well, it's I would argue that everyone's existence is nothingness, but it's something that's jarring is that they're in a group of people all being the same kind of nothing together at once. So it feels sad in that way. And you're like, I could interchange. I've lived in New York now 12 years, and I can think of 3 different generations of that same person that I've had to see be that same way.
Well, I
so
just
it
think
feels
that-
something like that way.
I just think that they're like the difference between you and them is that they're good at selling their happiness. They're good at selling it online. They're good at like
Yeah.
making a brand out of it. in a way of like, oh, like look at how happy I am at brunch and like la-di-da, like fun day Sunday, like that whole thing.
The sad thing is
But-
I love brunch. You know,
brunch is great, but like you don't have to bring.
But it has a
that
negative
size of
connotation
squad.
in New York. I feel like, you know, because of them.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
a great.
To me, it's rich people. It's mediocre rich drive me nuts. Like the kids I grew up with, it's like, I'd rather you be a douchebag like me, like just a comedian that's, you know, like, and be that than like a private equity guy like your dad, which is like what so many of these people, they just do this cookie cutter thing. And I'm like, what's the point of having means if you're not even going to step outside the mold?
Yeah.
Like, because the generation above, especially like the crew of kids I grew up with in New York City, there was this generation above us that actually didn't grow up with money. And then the private equity was like, they were these Jews that paid their own way through college and they really overachieved and they were smart. And then they got rich, and some of them, you know, married dumb, but some of them married smart. And then they had these kids, and these kids were given everything, like the means and the tutors and all this. And they still ended up to end up at Syracuse from a New York City private school with an SAT tutor and a dad willing to make a $10 million donation is insanity. You should at least end up at Dartmouth.
Wow.
I know I sound terrible, pretentious, unlikable, but these are my feelings.
So
Fuck you, Syracuse. My parents are season ticket holders to Syracuse
Really?
football.
Are you
and
from
basketball. No, outside of it, 45 minutes outside of it. But they're big Syracuse fans, and I will let them know.
I'm going. I'll be at the Syracuse Funny Bone on October 12th. Please buy
you're
your
really doing it?
Yeah,
That was
really.
one of those.
I really am going.
That was one
You
that I
should
booked,
use this clip for
and then
promo.
we had to cancel it because sales were so low.
Is that right? I
Yeah.
could see myself having to cancel. They give me 2 Saturday shows, which is like not even a weekend. So I'm like, I don't know what the organic, who's coming through there, but
Yeah.
I have fans at Syracuse, but I don't know that they're going to go to the Funny Bone, and I don't know that they're 21.
People ask all the time. They write me. They say like, "Is it 21 plus?" And sometimes I'm like, some clubs don't care, but I don't know.
Yeah,
And you're
And,
like,
I also don't
you're
want
like,
it in writing to be
baby,
like, "Come."
No, baby, it's 12. Come on.
12. That's what you went with.
I was making fun of you being
Was just because I like to
Crystalia.
dance.
Oh, I saw Crystalia in person after.
Really?
We were both headlining in Minneapolis at the same time. I was at Sisyphus Brewing, and he was at some gigantic theater filled with people who don't care that he's a pedophile.
Yeah.
And he walked in. There's one diner that's open in Minneapolis all night. And so all the comics go there after shows, and there's a lot of comedy in Minneapolis. So is this, and he just walked in with like a whole ass entourage.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. That was before that new documentary, the YouTube documentary came out.
Yeah.
That might have sunk it.
No,
We'll see.
I think that was after the YouTube documentary.
Really? The
Yeah,
Rolling
'cause this-
Stone did an article recently.
But this was March. This happened in late March. He's still selling out theaters. Some Republicans like it.
I know.
The fact that anyone tries to cancel you on the left is a sign that you should be supported by the right. That's why cancellation doesn't exist anymore, really.
I saw some tweet that was saying that like kind of the real part of the rise of like anti-trans rhetoric and anti-LGBT stuff was like a reaction to the Me Too movement of like trying to pivot away from it to be like it's whenever people go like the drag queens are pedophiles, it's like you're pivoting away from the people we just showed were pedophiles.
Yeah.
This is a little thing we like to do before we go to the blessings. I forget if we do the blessings first or this first, but we'll do this first right now, where we have Russell read a street joke. Oh, Les, do you have a street joke?
No.
Okay, let me say it real quick. So we're going to show the patrons. If you're a patron, you get your name up on the YouTube. Russell's going to read a joke from this book, Jackie Jokes, from Jackie Martling. But I'm going to tell one joke first, which is good. It'll take, because it takes some time. We have more patrons. It'll be this joke. Don't look
Which
at it again.
one?
Well, first let me say this. So I went to Sid Gold's.
Okay.
And it was crowded.
Yeah.
And we told the host I was a comedian. We thought maybe this will butter him up. And sure enough, he was like, I got a joke. You want to hear it? And I'm like, of course. And then we'll get into Sid Gold's.
Yeah.
And this was his joke. A guy gets a big job in New York. Such a big job, they're going to fly him first class from Minneapolis, where he just got to see Crystalia perform. And he gets on this like super nice jet to this job, and the stewardess comes over and says, would you like any headphones? And he says, sure, but how did you know my name was Phones? And in order to get into Sid Gold's, and skip the line. I had to laugh so hard. I had to say, I'm going to try that on stage. And in a way, I did.
Yeah.
So
did you get in?
We did get in.
Okay.
Yeah. Sang Piano
What's
Man
it
for the
called?
100th time. Elon Gold's dad owns it. It's a karaoke or live piano karaoke
in
bar.
New York.
It's in New York, but we went to it in Detroit, so I think it's like a big chain.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know it was other places. Interesting.
So the patrons are scrolling right now. So
Okay,
let's
here we
read this
go.
joke.
3 guys are drunk at a party on Christmas Eve. As they're leaving, they slip on the ice at the top of the stairs, and they all fall to their deaths. They come up to St. Peter, and he says, I'll tell you what, fellas. It's Christmas Eve. If you could do something to commemorate Christmas, I'll let you into heaven. First guy reaches into his pocket, pulls out his lighter, flicks it on, and says, a candle. St. Peter says, excellent. Come on in. Second guy reaches into his pocket, pulls out his car keys, jingles them, and says, sleigh bells. St. Peter says, creative. Come in. Third guy reaches into his pocket, pulls out a pair of stained women's panties, puts them under St. Peter's nose, and says, these are carols. That's similar.
I wish it had been
similar to what the joke you just said. I sometimes I hate jokes. I hate them.
I wish that had been a misdirect
jokes.
and not a pun at the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sure.
Me too.
There was almost a misdirect with the
I
women's
thought
panties.
it was going to be a
oh.
misdirect too. Yeah.
But
I love jokes. I do. All right, final thing. Blessing.
Blessing.
This has been a good episode.
Yeah.
Blessing. What's your blessing?
Page.
I went to go see Moulin Rouge a couple weeks ago with my friend Julia, who came all the way out here from California to hang out with me. But during the show, there was a family of 4 sitting in front of us that were really like belligerent, probably drunk. They were talking the whole time. So for like the first half, up until like the intermission, like I don't remember any of it because I was so distracted.
Yeah.
And it got so bad to the point where I like had to, the woman sitting in front of me kind of told me off in a very aggressive way. Mm-hmm. So then I got up during intermission to go talk to the usher, and who was very sweet. And I told her the situation. She found my friend and I a better seat in a better row.
Hell yeah.
I'm very thankful for the front of house staff at
Wow.
Moulin Rouge
Moulin
and
Rouge,
thank
front
you.
of
and
house
front of
staff.
house staff in general at any live venue.
Yes.
oh wow,
The unsung heroes.
But broaden it.
Maybe
Yeah.
not. Not everybody's a good person.
Yeah. Look, your acting dreams didn't come true, but you're still
my
helping
God.
people enjoy the
Oh my God.
very cruel of me to say that. Russell.
Very, very crual. I have to be kind of vague, but I had a friend who went through some bad things, and we lost touch because he was going through stuff and he wasn't ready to talk and blah blah blah. But anyways, he has reached out and we are talking, and it's nice, and I'm happy to have him back in my life. And sorry, this is so vague, but I was trying to give a real blessing because sometimes it's like the barista, you know.
Yeah.
But like I'm very thankful for this, and that he's doing okay enough to be able to talk and you know.
Well, as I say, God is in the details, and that was hell. Lucas, you got a blessing.
Yeah. This one's specific. Yeah. You know what? Yesterday, I almost take no time off stand-up anymore, and I always go on stage sober. And yesterday I had a day off, and I smoked weed at like 11:30 a.m.
Yeah.
Which I haven't done since I was like a kid. And it was a beautiful day, and I walked outside, and I went to the gym, and I ran 3 miles and wrote jokes on the treadmill while at high. Like I entered like a flow state.
That's the only way I can do the treadmill. is
Yeah,
stoned,
and
for
I
sure.
just like I was stoned, and I was like listening to good music, and I'm just grateful. I was grateful to give myself that time and smoke a little weed and take a night off stand up. And then I saw some old friends, non-comedy friends, very important, very important. At night, I had a dinner with a bunch of non-comedy friends, and it was like an actual day off comedy, which I'm always doing something. I'm like promoting or editing a clip or some shit. And I guess I wrote jokes, but writing jokes it felt good.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I don't have too many. I think non-stand-up, but still comedy friends is my sweet spot. Stand-up's is tough. You just talk about business. It's very hard to not.
These days.
My Subblessing is just the other two is such a great fucking show.
Great
but
season.
Do you watch the other two?
I worked at Broadway Video for a time, so I remember reading the whole first season of Scripts.
Bro, you got to read watch this new season. But there's
The new season's
Pat,
great.
who gets famous. She goes back to like see her old friends.
Oh my
and
God.
it seems like this beautiful day,
Oh.
but at the end you find out she was like,
Brutal.
I hated them. Their jokes were awful. I was bored. It was, and the look. So Carrie goes back to his high school reunion, and he's like, there's a thing about people who are gay in high school finally going back and they've won. And then like another gay guy comes in with a big announcement, and he's worried it's going to be big. And he goes like, I booked the understudy for a Broadway musical. And the smirk Carrie gives of like that little smile of like, that's fucking nothing.
Yeah.
Is so perfect. It feels like it was written for people who work in the arts, and that's it. It's so fucking.
Yeah.
It feels like it's about Tova and me. We're Carrie and.
I love when that one person that was like, they're like, "Oh, I'm just a dentist. No, nothing." He goes, "No, that's not nothing." Yes, it is. It's nothing. Like turns, looks directly in the camera.
But my real blessing is this. There was it's a small apartment complex I live in, and on my floor, where there's 4 different rooms on either side of the stairwell, there was some weird alcove, and they were doing construction in it. And I was like, I don't know what this is. It was tiny. It was a closet. And if you go downstairs, that's where we put the trash and like the similar alcove there. And so it's like, maybe it's another trash thing. That's convenient. Just take my trash right there. And then I went up and they were cleaning it up, and I was like, what the fuck is this gonna be? And then I saw these 2 little things to the wall, and I said, oh my God, it's a laundry machine.
On your
They
floor.
are building a laundry machine on my floor. Wow. Right next to my door. I'm going to save so much fucking money. I'm going to wear one outfit every single day. And that's it. And I'm going to wash it every night.
Wow.
And I think it's the greatest thing that's ever happened in my life.
Yeah. People are always going to
Your
be in that
voice
hallway.
got so calming.
People are always going to be in that hallway doing laundry. No.
We could do an ASMR episode.
I was going to say, you sparked something inside of me that was totally unrelated to your story, but it made me feel really.
You guys got to
peace.
watch the video. Lucas is rock hard right now. And plugs, Lucas, plug. What do you want to plug? Paige, do we know what's coming out?
July 25th.
July 25th.
July 25th. Okay, 2 things. My podcast, it's called Can I Go Home Now? And if you enjoyed me on Gianmarco's
Is that why you kept saying that on this whole podcast?
off mic? So that's a new podcast it was whatever. To go listen. And then the other thing is I'm on tour starting in the fall. Headlining a bunch of comedy clubs. They gave me a lot of seats to sell, and I don't know that I can sell them. So go to lucaszelnick.com and go see if you check out my stuff, and if you like my stuff, go see if your city's on the list. It probably is. I'm going to Syracuse, so when you're going to Syracuse, you're also hitting the major places.
It's a big list.
Yeah.
I know. This is not. I didn't like look at, but I did look at. I'm like, okay, all right.
That's what I thought
I didn't
too.
know you were doing so well. All right.
I
Good.
didn't know
Good
either,
for
but
you.
we'll see. I got an agent, and he got me the gigs, and now we're gonna see how I sell.
Big room or the little room? Let's see. Paige, anything you want to plug? Plug your boyfriend's
Sure.
clothing
Yeah, my
company.
boyfriend Max. He's a co-founder at Basket Case, which is a streetwear brand. They're in Paris Fashion Week right now, which is really exciting, and they do drops like every other month or so online. So if you haven't heard of them, check out their Instagram, basketcase.gallery, and
And you're gonna go there.
yeah, and I'm gonna be there.
Get some stories. I want to hear all about French Fashion Week.
Yeah.
Russell, what do you want to plug?
Okay, July 25th. I'm still in Titanic at this point. And who's to say how much longer? So come now. Come see me in Titanic, the musical, at the Dale Roth Theater 8 times a week.
You have nothing else going on this coming weekend?
Well, on the 25th?
You will be at the Downside live taping in Montreal.
But I don't
Just
know what
for
day.
Laughs. We We don't know the day yet.
And it's a little
that's
frustrating because it's
Congratulations.
getting closer. And some of
JFL,
us-
we'd love to know the date.
We would
I will
love
be there
to
already,
know.
but Russell might not be. We don't know yet.
We don't know.
And while we're talking to JFL, if you loved me on this podcast, I would love to be a
JFL
new face
directly
of
books
yours.
from this podcast.
I would love to
Your
be a
tour
new
looks
face of
busy
yours.
enough. I think you're too busy for JFL this year. So I listen. I don't know the exact dates. I think tonight maybe I'll be headlining a show at JFL, and let me tell you, not one of the big venues. One of the ones you're gonna have to take an Uber to. So if you're in Montreal, come check it out. Doing shows just for the culture all week. There'll be a podcast taping. It's very exciting. And then if you're in Canada, fuck it, I'll be in Vancouver August 3rd through August 6th. So check it out.
And at some point, July 26th through the 29th, somewhere in there, there'll be a downside, right?
Yeah. Great plugs. Great
Great
big
plugs. Great
date
vague.
range plugs.
Yeah.
And listen, if you're listening or you know someone who works at Roadcaster Pro, tell them to go fuck themselves.
Oh my God.
You motherfuckers. I cannot fucking believe you. Fuck you. I was going to say this is a downside and then play the music, but I don't have it, so this is the downside. Motherfucker.
It worked.
What song is this?
It's the pre-programmed shit in the box.
Oh, that's nice.
This is Russell's. This is your music. Tell him, Russell.
Subscribe to The Downside right now.
Where?
Down here. Or here. We don't know, but just do it.
Or also, what else could they do?
They could follow the Patreon. They could subscribe to the Patreon.
I
No!
Patreon.com/downside.
Pressure.